Hi, Teresa Brett here from Parenting for Social Change. Today I wanted to talk briefly with you about how it is when we're in struggle or conflict with a child in our life that we can go deeper to focus on what's really going on between us, what's really going on within us as parents, to try to get to a place where we have eliminated that conflict. So often in our society and in our culture, what we focus on is what's on the surface, the behavior. If you read mainstream parenting magazines and parenting advice, it's really so often focused on how do we get the 2-year-old to stop hitting, or how do we get your teenager to do homework, or whatever all of those things are. And what I want to focus on today and to talk with you about is how we can use the conflict that we might be having with a child in our life to really go deeper and understand what's going on for us as parents. And so, I'm going to give an example in my own life. When Grayson was younger, and even still now, although I've kind of worked through some of it, but when he was younger and I would leave the house and I would need to go do something, whether it was, go exercise, go to work, go do something where I needed to leave him at home, so often, what would happen is he would be really upset. He would start crying. He would be really sad. And I was triggered by his emotional response to my leaving. And, at first, what can often happen is we can focus on, and I did, how can I eliminate his response? How can I make sure that he's not sad when I leave? How can I, whether it's sneak out of the house, which didn't feel very good to me, but I did do that for a while, whether it's do other things, all in trying to avoid the negative feelings that his sadness would bring up for me. Really, that's what I was trying to do. I thought it was to spare him, but really it was about sparing myself, not having to feel those feelings when I was leaving the house because I felt guilty or whatever it was. What happened was, once I was willing to go a little bit deeper and to understand why that triggered me, I really eliminated the conflict. And so what I did was I tried to understand, why is it I get so upset when he's sad when I leave? And what would happen is, what I did was I began to compare how I felt when I had to go to work and leave the house versus how I felt when I wanted to go spend some time with some friends, or I wanted to go exercise, something that was just for me. And what I realized was that I was looking toward the child in my life to give me permission to go take care of myself. I didn't feel like I could do that myself. And so when I was going to do something that was really a choice, that was about me going out or taking time for myself, that's really not a choice, it's a need. But when I would do that and he would get sad and upset, I would be completely triggered and I would react. And when I was going to work, he would feel exactly the same way, but somehow I didn't feel that way. So I began to then try to work on for myself, how is it I need to give myself permission? How do I need to do the internal work for me so that when Grayson's having that reaction, when he's sad and upset, rather than trying to avoid that conflict, which was really an internal conflict for me, rather than trying to avoid that, try to figure out how to avoid him reacting the way that he was, once I understood and gave myself permission to do what I needed to do for myself, when he was sad, I could be with him. I could be empathetic. I wouldn't react with anger to his sadness. In essence, I was asking this very young child to take care of my own emotional needs because I couldn't give myself permission to do the same. So when we're having that conflict, when we're in that place that seems to be recurring, rather than focusing on the behavior of the child, if we turn inward and we go deeper within ourselves and understand what it is that's triggering us, what is that bringing up for us, we eliminate the conflict. The child still feels the way he or she feels, and we can be present with them, and we can support them with where they're at. But our own emotional triggers, our own leftover work that we haven't done for ourselves doesn't get in the way of being with the child with presence and love and empathy. Thanks for joining me today, and have a great day.